Hello. Hello, this is Howard. I'm here to present another CTE video. I received several messages on some of the recent videos, and a few others, where it may be unclear on some of the concepts of shooting the balls in terms of aiming or pivoting and so on and so forth. So I want to really clarify that, and I'm going to go to a deep dive on a couple of shots, basically 15 degrees perceptions and 30-degree perceptions. But in any case, we're going to go in depth to show you how it works and get a handle on CT and how valuable it is to use it. And once you use it, you'll probably use it for more and more. Much better than ghost ball in any case. But you have used both. This is another tool in the box that you have to shoot pool. And let's get started. Okay, this is a left cut. So if you read the description that I have, the 15-degree perception is like a straight shot. The aim line is from the left side of the cue ball to the A spot. And if you're not familiar with the object ball, is broken up to three areas, equal distances: A, B, and C. They stand for 15, 30, and 45 degree perceptions. That's the perception of the angle to the pocket. So when you have an aim line, I'm basically looking at a visual to the A spot. I'm also looking at a visual from the middle of the cue ball to the C spot. And in the paralax, on a left cut, it's a quarter of the ball to center, object ball. So let's take a look at that. So I'm coming in, my left leg is a little bit behind the cue ball, but those lines is where I kind of focus in. So what I'm going to be doing right now is looking at my aim line first, which is the right side of the cue ball aiming at the A. So I'm looking at that. It's a visual line. I'm looking at it, kind of standing behind that line. And then I also, with my other vision, almost like tilting my head a little bit, I'm coming into the center of the cue ball, which is right there, to the C spot. So it gives me an idea of where to stand. I'm looking at both of those lines. My left leg is just about positioned behind the cue ball, but now I come in, and my paralax line, which is very important, is from the quarter of the cue ball to the center of the object ball. So when I come in, I'm going to be coming in from this side and this pivoting over to center. Now, you could sweep this way or this way. Sweeping like that defines how the ball lands into the pocket, whether it's a thin shot or a thick shot. In most cases, it's very subtle difference. So you could probably do either or. So I could swing this way. I like to do the opposite of the cut. So if it's cutting that way, I'll do this way, and so on and so forth. So it depends on how you feel about it. Don't forget, I am right eye dominant. I'm a right-hander. If you're different, if your left eye is not your main eye, and let's say you use a right eye, it's like in reverse. So keep that in mind. So again, we'll go over it. 15 is the left side of the cue ball, right there, to the A spot. The middle of the cue ball is to the C spot. And if I turn this 15 around, you'll get an idea of how that looks. So on this side of the stripe, where the stripe is, that's A. B is right in the middle of the stripe, and C would be the other side of the stripe. There is a 1/8 marker, but we're not doing that right now. So I'm coming in, my bridge hand comes around to the cue ball, and this V right there is important. So your V is kind of like almost in the center of the cue ball. So you got to position yourself with those lines, looking at those lines, and you almost automatically kind of position yourself with those visuals to come in at the right spot. All you got to do then is the paralax, which So what I'm doing right now, again, I'm positioning myself to, I'm looking at those lines, I'm coming at a quarter of the, half a tip off the center of the cue ball, and then I'm pivoting in from the backhand. So I come in as a quarter, I'm aiming at the center of the object ball, and just backhanding it, coming in, going to center, and you're inside that pocket. Okay, now you could read, this is a right cut. We're working with a 15-degree perception. As you can see on the paper, this is a right cut. So the right side of the cue ball is your aim line, called AL, going to the C spot. Your SL, sight line, is going to the A spot. These are visual lines. And it's the same as before. It's a quarter of the cue ball to the center of the object ball. And that's pretty much it. So again, if you can see that visual, you get an understanding. And let's do it. So here I am. I'm setting up the lines for me. So let's go with that. The SL, which is called sight line, is going from the center of the cue ball to A. Right there. I'm looking at that. I'm standing behind that little spot. That's the line I'm going to step behind, because I got to get both of those lines, or 3 lines together, to make sure I'm in that pocket. Now, the right side of the cue ball is going to C. So I'm looking at that line, and my paralax, which is called a PX line, is coming from the right side of the cue ball, the quarter of the cue ball, to the center of the object ball. And I'm coming in, I could sweep this way or I could sweep this way. But I like to do the opposite, so I'm coming in this way. And I'm a quarter of a tip off cue ball center. And all I gotta do is pivot over, like that. Pivot over, boom, and you're in. So let's just review one more time. Center of the cue ball, that's the SL, is my visual right there, A. My other visual is my aim line is C. My parallax is a quarter of the cue ball to the middle of the object ball. Coming in, all I do is pivot over, and that's it. That's the basic premise of how CTE works. Okay, so now we have a little bit of a, I guess, an angle, which I would believe it's 30 degrees. This is a 30-degree perception. So let's look at the left cut. This is a left cut into the corner pocket. And as you can see from the chart, a 30 degrees perception, aim line, that's the left side of the cue ball, goes to the middle of the object ball. SL, it goes to the right of the object ball. And for the parallax, it's a quarter to a quarter. Quarter of the cue ball to a quarter of the object ball. Let's get started. So, I'm standing behind the cue ball, and I'm looking at those lines. So the first line, as you can see, is on the left cut. We're going to go with the aim line, which is, aim line is the left side of the cue ball, right there, to the B. So left side to B, I'm looking at that line. I'm standing behind the cue ball almost with that line. I'm looking right at it. And you got to twist your head a little bit to figure out the next line, so it's almost like you could look at 2 views on the object ball. But this is something that you have to learn at the pool hall, because it does vary and it's difficult on video. My SL line is from the middle of the cue ball to the edge of the object ball. And in this case, a parallax line is a quarter to a quarter. And somebody says, well, why do you need all these lines? I could play ghost ball and get it right in. But using these 3 lines, it almost gives you the area where you almost don't miss, because you're really not aiming at the pocket. You're aiming at the ball. Sometimes aiming at the ball is much easier than aiming at the pocket. Now, of course, you could come over here like ghost ball and go like that, but then when you come back sometimes, you forget where you put your stick. And then you got to do it again. You got to come back again, and so on and so forth. So, again, these are lines, and look, I use ghost ball as well, but when it's a critical shot, and you really want to make it, where it's like, let's say it's an 8-ball, 9-ball game, you just want to make those last 2 balls, you got to really make sure that you get it in. So CTE comes in handy when you really want to make the shot. Of course, you want to make every shot, but on CTE, it's just, to me, it's just almost like a given, because you're really not aiming, like I said, you're not aiming at the pocket, you're aiming at the ball. So if those lines that you have, that you can see visually, are good, and your bridge hand is in the right place, don't forget the V is very important. So you have to put down your V in the right spot for all this to work, because you are pivoting. You're really almost trusting the pivot than anything else. So I'm going to come in again. This is a 30-degree perception. So let's repeat. This is the left side of the cue ball is going to be in the B spot, which is right there. The A, B, and C faces the cue ball. My center is going to the edge, and I'm a quarter to a quarter. So I'm stepping, I'm a quarter to a quarter of the cue ball right there. All I gotta do is pivot, and you're in. So this video, we're gonna do 15 and 30. Next video will be 45 and 60. So now we have a right cut to the corner pocket, and it's a 30-degree perception. So if you look at the chart, again, 30 degrees is right there, and you're going to have the aim line from the right side of the cue ball to about the B spot, the SL from the center of the cue ball to the left side of the object ball. Paralax, again, is quarter to a quarter. So let's get started. So I'm standing behind the cue ball, but I'm visualizing those lines so I can reposition myself. But I want to make sure my V is correct, my position of my bridge hand is correct. But the first line I'm looking at, this is a right cut, so I'm going to look at the aim line, which is the right side of the cue ball to center of the object ball, right there. The left side of the center cue ball is going into the edge of the 2 ball, and my parallax is a quarter to a quarter. So I'm standing behind the cue ball. I want to make sure my V is correct. I'm in position. I see those lines. I'm visualizing all those lines. So it's, again, it's AL to B. I'm looking at my edge of my cue ball right to the middle of that 2 ball. And I'm also visualizing the sight line, which is the center of the cue ball, to the edge of the object ball. I'm coming in at a quarter to a quarter, and all I got to do is pivot to the center. Quarter, pivot, and you're in. All right, so appreciate if you could subscribe. Look out for my 45 and 60 degree in-depth deep dive. Take it now.